I'm delighted that we have a guest speaker, a local businessman, somebody hopefully all of you do know. You should know this man by now. And the guy sitting next to him. He has graciously agreed to tie us a fly tonight. Normally he comes up and speaks very knowledgeably about stuff that he's good at. So we're tying a stonefly tonight?
We're gonna do a Bachman Stone.
Okay, so we've got that going. He's gonna tie one first and then we're gonna tie one after that, but he has some stuff that him and Zach have been working on and they want to share a new program.
Stand.
Sorry.
Standing, Austin.
Okay, so with no further ado, sir, the floor is yours. And let me give you this. So you can just leave that right there.
We'll be able to hear it just fine from that. Okay. So we got a couple of things I want to get through tonight. The first is the Bachman Stone. It's a fly I've used for, it's a steelhead fly essentially, but I've caught trout on it. And a lot of guys fish this fly for carp locally around here. I've tied it a lot thinner, a lot smaller, and caught and fished in the driftless as like an early winter stone, which is typically a thinner bodied fly. That's what you see if you ever do any winter fishing. You'll see them crawling up through the ice. They're smart through the snow, real skinny body. But this time of year and throughout the winter, I like to tie them a little bigger, just a little fatter. We'll give them a little bite to eat. And then, so I'll tie one for you guys, and then I have little baggies. It looks like bags of scraps that you guys can. I think the whole recipe's in there, minus the ice dub, because I can't stuff ice dub into a little bag. It just doesn't work. So we'll pass. I grabbed two of them. Really cool, really unique color. We'll just pass that out. I'll have Stan do that for me here in a bit. And then afterwards, I'm going to turn the floor over to Stan. Most of you guys know Austin. We call him Stan. There's too many Austins in this industry to deal with, so we call him Stan. It's been with me for 3 years now, on and off. Yeah. He's prone to disappear every once in a while.
Depending on the fishing schedule.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then he shows back up and it's like he never left, which is pretty amazing. He's been working on his last little jaunt this summer. He's working with the Conservation Foundation.
Conservation Foundation, Naperville.
In Naperville, and he did some really cool stuff there. Stuff that we wish we could do. He actually got to go and do it as far as fish counting and things like that. So any kind of specific questions you can ask him about that. But in his free time, he's been putting together a little program, and that little program is something that it's very different, and it's local. I'd call it our local fishery that's just untapped. And you hear that a lot, like this untapped fishery. But when we're done with that, we'll get into what he's doing. And it's pretty neat. You probably saw his little toy that he brought up here, and that is a legitimate target that he's figuring out, and he's trying to set up a program. And we support it. We support it 100%. But we'll get into that whole thing in a bit. For now, I'm going to attempt to tie a fly for you guys. Normally, I talk my way through these. But I've tied a fly or two in my day, and we'll see if I can get it done today. Do we want to?
We'll just switch the camera.
Just switch the camera. Okay. So we're going to use we're going to do a Bachman Stone up close and personal. It's going to look like this guy. It's got a back. It's hard to really do that, isn't it? That might do it. It's got a cool back, a scud back. It's segmented. The hardest part for me on this fly is putting the tails on using using the biots. I was joking with him. I was like, all right, let me make sure I remember how to tie this fly. And it came out beautifully. And there's no way that's gonna happen again. There's no way. That's not how my life works. So essentially though, it's a pretty straightforward tie. It doesn't have a ton of materials, but it actually makes a pretty big profile. I'm just gonna go jump into it. Put a thread base on because I didn't know what to do with myself while you guys were going through your thing. So put a thread base on, and then we're using with these guys, mono eyes. Yep, mono eyes. These are extra small. I've got extra smalls and smalls in the bag. It's gonna be whatever you guys get is what you get. I tend to put my eyes on first. You don't have to with this bug, but that's what I do. And I put them on, secure them on, and then usually hit them with glue, but I forgot my glue, so. What's up? I'll deal without it. I rarely do. I don't use a lot of glue, and I know you don't, definitely. It just, if I'm doing backs and things like that, I really love my epoxy stuff. With glues, I don't know if it's like the old guide in me where it's like, all right, I got to tie 50 of these things and I plan on losing 48 of them. So it all just kind of throws out the window. The next bit is the old biot tail. Strip goose biot. You've all seen it. Nobody uses it ever. It's the back lower, right?
There you go.
It's the back of, actually, I think it's the the flight feathers off the front of the wing. The most common use is the back two wings of a Princeton. That's the majority of it, but they make amazing stonefly tails. As far as where you want it out, I try to face them away from me. And that's a pretty good tail. Some tails are shorter. I like mine because you're steelhead fishing with it, or that's intended anyway. I like to leave a little bit more, something more to look at for a fish. And then your next one on this side, this is the one that goes crooked on everybody because it's not facing you. And there, I did it. All right. One of two things here. You can clip. I'm not going to clip because I want some bulk on there. So I'm just going to tag them down. The bigger and the bulkier, the better with this one, especially with your guys' kits that I built there. I don't know if you've noticed, but lead wire, it's like gold these days. We can't get them in the shop. It's really tough to get. So you guys only got 0.05 because I have 1,000 yards of it. So we'll go through that in a minute, especially on yours. A couple ways to do this part. I personally like it just up on the front up here. But again, to add some bulk to this fly, we're going to start it back here.
I'm sorry, I have a question about your lead wire.
Yeah.
Is that an EPA thing that you think there?
No, it's a stock, it's a stock thing. Now this one's lead free. The one you guys are getting is actual lead, so don't eat it. You won't like that. This one's lead free. No, it's a stocking issue, right? It's just tough to get. So what I'll do here on the back is I'll put these up as we work on the back forward, and we'll get to about a halfway point and maybe skip a little spot there. And then I'm going to double it up over here to build that up, and that'll come into play a little later. So it'll be a little thicker. Where's my bad scissors? Good question. In this one, it's a 1120, I believe. So it's an 1120. Can you see it?
Right in front of the fly.
Right in front of the fly. 1120. If you're an Umpqua guy, use a 2487 scud hook. This one, for whatever reason, looks like it's super round.
1120, is that good for the staler?
Yes, yeah, so it's an extra heavy, 2X heavy, wide gap scud. Because I can't see that side, I don't like how much of that's sticking onto my tail. Doesn't matter, but I happened to glance behind me and saw that. I like that better. And then up here, you can double it over. It's all gonna get turned over. It's all gonna get covered. But putting on kind of sloppily a piece of wire, you can build bulk, right? Without having to use more material. I'm gonna use the wire instead. I'm just gonna latch that down. No, that's not gonna go anywhere. All right. Next part is DRiFT. Pretty straightforward. About like that works, yeah. Medium DRiFT, vinyl DRiFT. You can use, I like DRiFT, you can use tubing, micro tubing, whatever you want. I did leave a little space back here, and that is a latch down point for me. Right there. Little latch. The thread I'm using is brown because I don't like tying with black thread. It's 140 is what this is. You can use a round thread like a uni thread. I would go with nothing less than a 6/0. So we got that. Next is the fun part. I don't do this very often, but this one I am because it's a ice dub, and ice dub holds better with a little bit of wax on there. So I'm gonna just wax my thread. You can split 140 and spin it. It'd be real buggy then. We're not gonna do that, but you're more than welcome to with your pinch, or you can put it into a dubbing loop. For this, I want a nice tight body on the back. Peacock ice dub black. Pretty cool little material. Just a cool color, different. And as you guys know, a little bit of dubbing goes a long way. We'll start there and see if we need to add more. Everything good. We're gonna go ahead and put the dubbing on. Okay. Yeah, it's gonna fall in between. That's okay. Okay, we're gonna have to add a little more. Just have a pile of this on my vise over here. Too much. Okay. We're going to take it halfway up the fly, right into that little divot there that we created, and we left that space there. So this guy's actually going to be a little buggier than I want, which is usually kind of the opposite of what we would ever say ever, right? So kind of a two-part fly a little bit. We're going to do the back and then we're going to do the front. So just to move forward, we are going to put in our D loop or our DRiFT and see if we can do it without crushing that tail down. Forward pressure. Next one. A couple ways you can do this. I like little spaces between, gives it a little bit of texture. I know a lot of people who like their DRiFT stacked right on top of each other, like you would a biot. I don't think that looks natural, but I don't know. Got it. This part is where it either goes like a spring or I have glue. It's the first time ever on camera that side looks nicer than this side. All right, what's next? Our back. Or scud back. So scud back, half or eighth, quarter inch. If you're gonna tie it any bigger than this fly that we're tying here, you have to go with a quarter inch. But for this one, we're gonna tie in eighth. We're gonna tie this in. We're gonna pinch it right down. We'll get it right on
What
top.
is that material? Is that synthetic?
Yeah,
Is that
oh, yeah.
some kind of pseudo suede?
No, it's like rubber,
Okay.
latex. Again, you can cut that off. I'm not going to because I don't mind a little bit of bulk right there. Then everybody's favorite. No, not yet. Oh, shit. I'm gonna tie in our. I can't tell if this is just low wing. It almost looks like henback. This one we can use henback on. It tends to be a little bit more webby than say like a strung Chinese, and a little shorter than like you'd find on a shallapin feather. Shallapin would be fine. Strung Chinese is gonna be, it's not gonna be webby enough. It's gonna kind of give it a dry fly look. It's fine, it'll fish. Using like a henback, I like because one, you can manipulate that feather backwards and it stays webby and buggy, which I kind of like. I'm gonna tip tie it because it really doesn't matter because you're gonna spin it like 3 times if you're lucky. I'm not worried about tapering I'm not worried about tapering down on that. And again, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make it kind of ugly because I don't mind having a little bit of bulk right there. All right. 4 or 5 pieces. It wouldn't be a fly to fish any kind of salmon in if it didn't have peacock curl in it. For this one, I'm going to grab a half dozen or so. Half dozen hairs or feathers. I'm just going to break them straight. I'm going to lay them on here. I'm actually going to attach them up here. I'm going to run them back because I don't need them falling behind.
You find you by the tips of the butt.
That one was a little bit of both. I'm using the middle body of the feather, so it doesn't really matter. The easy way to do it, so you don't have to trim your back end, would just be to tip tie them. But I lined them up and then I broke them even, just so it grabs on a little better. And from there, we're going to take all 5 or 6 of these, and we're going to turn it into essentially chenille. And we're going to do 2 or 3 wraps. There's always going to be that one feather that falls off. And we're going to work that forward. And it's going to clean up pretty good right there. So I don't have to do too much there. It's pretty easy. And then we're going to grab it. And we're going to tuck it. And in theory, it should be able to look up. Okay. We'll get in here. We're going to cut you close. Don't cut your thread. If it doesn't spring back on you, you trapped all your hairs pretty good. Next, we're going to palmer here. And as we're palmering, it's going to be real ugly, but that's okay because we kind of want that, right? We want it to push back. And we're going to grab that, and as we go, we're going to push, and we're going to hold down. And we're going to push there. And we're going to hold down. I think I'm going to be able to get one more. And I don't want too much of that kind of marabou stuff down there. You can do it if you like it. It's just going to be a little buggier. I just don't. Love it. But that's me. Trap that. There. We're gonna cut you off and don't cut your main line. We're gonna clean that. Now we're gonna kind of manipulate that back. And we're going to press it. And once you do that, your fibers should be facing backwards. The next part, some folks like to cut an alleyway for their scud back with a softer feather like we use because of the hen. You can actually pull that forward and push that back and it'll create its own top. You can see how that creates its own rail kind of track right there and everything sits back. Before you do that though, advance your thread to in front of your eyes. And we push down. We're going to pull a little bit because we want it to be pretty tight. We're going to grab it and this part's a little tricky. We got it though. And I trapped it one time underneath it on top. And I'm going to pull it a little tight like that. That stretches out the back. It's pretty far on top. And we'll put 1, 2, 3, 4 on the front. That should be enough. I'm gonna lift that up. I'll put it back in the view if I took it out for a second. Okay. Oh, did it do it? It did exactly what I didn't want it to do. So we might be able to catch it again. That's why I lifted it up. I lifted it up so it would grab on. That's going to be tough. We might be able to do it. Stand. Tricky.
Especially if you pull it tight.
Did I get it? I did. We'll get it back here, I suppose. Little mohawk. I like it in front, but when I lifted it up, it unraveled. I should have put like a jamming knot in there. Oh, well, that's good, actually. That's not a bad thing. So essentially what I did, when I lifted it up, I put it towards the top so gravity wouldn't pull it down, right? You have to see what I'm doing there. When I put it back down, it fell off and pulled back, but easy enough to fix. We just put it back behind the eye and we'll clean it up. What you should do is once you get it tagged in there, just put a little knot in there. It's not going to go anywhere. There's that. And then I'm just going to clean up this. Fix a straggler or two. Up. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Couple of little overhands. 2, 3. Yeah, good. That's that. Bachman stone. That's our plan. For sure for it. I don't know if it'll point at it or not, if it'll is this was a little buggy? That's all right. Is that in focus there? Can you see the scud there?
Yeah.
Yeah, just leave your bison in place.
You get it where you want it to tie. Good there, just so you can see the back. You see the scud back, you can see the ribbing. You can see the tails maybe. It's a little tough because it's a black material. Black on black. This guy here, a little longer than I like, but I'd fish that all day long. I wouldn't think twice about being long like that in the legs or whatnot. So that is the Bachman stone.
Bachman Turner over there.
You know, it's a where we get it from. Like if you got it commercially tied, the credit of that fly goes to John Ewenhop out of Chicago. So You guys want to do one together? We got that. We can make that happen.
That's that dubbing.
What do you need?
Do yourself a little
Dubbing,
stuff.
yeah, I'll give myself some.
Take yourself some.
This dubbing goes a long way. So you don't need that much. I'll throw one on this side.
That's it. You guys just want to pass this around? Just a little.
No, why don't you just hand them out? Dennis, did you get your tape?
Yeah.
Thank you. If you need more, just let me know. Got it? Yeah, I got
That's double probably.
Yeah. I saw Stan eyeballing you.
What's that? It's good, Just cross check.
Well, your hair was a little long there. I like it. Yeah, so your eyes are real small, standard fine, bunch of them left in there.
Yeah, there's a bunch.
If the eyes are too small, let us know, there's some bigger ones, but that's what I use,
You want Stan? You want to have this one?
No. So I can tap my tail with wire, I can fool myself. On the big screen, up on the big screen.
Yeah, what did I grab from the end there? I don't know what I grabbed.
Crazy long.
That's what I grabbed on the first one. That'll be the next one. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it was like,
It
why
looks
did
good.
that? No, it looks cool. Yeah,
It looks,
dig it.
like you can swing it.
Yeah, like you could swing it for sure. No, it's actually posted now.
This one here. This is the original.
Alright, it's clean. Yeah, I don't hate it.
Let us know when I did the scud backs on some of those. If it's too short or you think it's too short, let me know in the package. But if you're gonna lay that out, lay it out, lay out these guys, make sure that you got 5 or 6 of these. If not, we'll bring you more. And I think I cut all the what's it called long enough. The D rib. But if you seem like it feels like yours is too short, let us know. We got a little bit left. And then that scud back, if you've got a little tiny piece, let me know and we can do that as well. Looks like it would stop the fish from getting hooked.
That'd be a prank.
And there's plenty of hook gap in there.
We'll see.
We'll see. Don't let me go too quick for you guys. Just let me know when you've got your thread base on. If you want to, put your thread base on and put your eyes on. And then we'll work through some tailing techniques here. You do want a little bit of space before, you want a little bit of space at the eye. So put your eyes on knowing that you have to, one, tie it off, and two, your D-rib needs to be captured in front, not your D-rib, your scud back needs to be captured in front of it as well. Can do that. Second on there. So you can see where I put my eyes on, there's a little bit of room to capture stuff. It's a pretty buggy fly, so there's gonna be a lot of extra material to play with. 0.05. Yeah. I tried to give you a long enough piece to where you can pile it on there. And now if it was me and you don't have a long enough piece, or you don't want to run the thread out of that 0.05 that you have, just put it up here. Just put a stack of it up at the front so you can build up the, or that'd be the thorax of it. And then these miserable tails. I see some folks, when they tie on tails, they go across body like that, and they tie it in, then they tie the other one across body. I've never gotten that to work really well for me. So I just take it one side at a time.
It's hard to tie these on.
They're not, it's not an easy thing. I totally get it. Yep. What I do is I take it, put it on there, and I push it with my thumb, and then I tie it in front of my thumb, just so it sits on there. And then when I pull my thumb away, I hope that it's sticking straight at the right angle and actually attached. Oh, it just falls off. Yeah, got to tear it off and the thing just breaks it again. Tie that down. You can clip it if you want it neater. I'm going to tie it down again, the rest of it, just to make a little bit more bulk on it. What's the tails get down? Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll do two different things. Make space. Okay. No, Like I said, well, maybe I'll just go all the way across. All I did was overwrap one thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just gonna space it out there. Halfway up.
Yeah, that's probably one you just did.
Do you?
Yeah, that like kind of chunks out and thorax.
All right. And all I did was that. It's sloppy to look at from this angle. Whatever. So your lead wire.
Curve outward,
Say that again?
the buyout.
The buyout, yes, curved out towards you. That will help it when you pinch it down. Okay. See how the tail splits like that? The pressure of the thread, when you tie it in, will, in theory, bend that fly out. I would say if it was me and you don't have a lot of that lead, or if you got your own lead, use 0.025. That's what I'm using. If you have your own thread or lead. Like if you've got a spool of your own. Doesn't need to be neat, just needs to be on there. And like what I did with this one is I kind of doubled it over once or twice on the top part of the fly because I want to build some bulk up there. Easier to do it with lead than it is using more material. Such a little amount of beer. Are we getting there out there? If you've already have your lead on, the next step is tying in your D-rib.
Pretty sharp
What's your D-rib? Your D-rib, you actually kind of sort of need to pay attention on how you tie in your D-rib. Because it's like it says in the shape of a D, so there's a flat edge. So it's not like tubing where it doesn't matter what side it is. You actually want to tie your flat edge out, facing you or on top or however you're going to do it. Because if you think about it, when it comes around, right? When it comes around, you want the curve to be on the outside. So the curves on that side there. So I'll do that, but let's think about how you're gonna wrap it. And that's gonna have the D facing up. The camera's so fine that it shows all my little mistakes. You can't see it looking at it. But you can absolutely see that.
That's when the lighting's too good in the bathroom.
All right, is everybody about there with their or with their D-rib? Next is your dubbing. I'm gonna use, like I said, a little bit of wax because these synthetic dubs, they're dry. They don't stick very well on their own. If you prefer to put them in a loop, put it into a loop. It'll create a buggier back end on it. I like this fly to be a little tighter though. More stonefly. Stoneflies are pretty neat bugs when you look at them, meaning they're real streamlined, almost like a beetle versus like a true mayfly or anything like that. Let us know if you need more dubbing. You shouldn't, but maybe. We do have more. Your neighbor will have more. Will they want to give it to you because it's such a cool color? I don't know. I can't say. Smooth. Oh, totally smooth than I thought it was going to be. All right, we're going to put a couple of wraps. If it's too thin, like you'll see on there, you're seeing my thread, or you're seeing that go through. We're going to put a couple of wraps on top of it. Because again, we can make it big and that's just going to hide it right through it. Yes. And there. A little bit more. Kind of like the body of an ant there. Like that. A little bit more. I don't think I've ever underdubbed anything before. It's a new feeling.
Yeah, right.
It's always too much dub. Go. You're gonna dub to where you're at the moment. Imaginary thorax is gonna be right there. Oh, looks so frizzy and buggy up there.
Oh, yeah.
Nope. You guys have any questions on, did you leave enough room? Because you kind of are building this fly in two parts, right? You've got your abdomen and then your thorax. Like you got they're two very different parts of this fly. Which is kind of nice because you don't have to tie it like a woolly bugger where you tie it all on and then you actually tie the fly. This one's got some parts to it. So he's ahead of everybody. How do we throw him out? He's ahead of everybody.
I cheated.
You cheated. You cheated. Somebody
Good answer.
get him out of here. All right, D-rib next. We got, again, think about how you put it on. Mine's gonna go this way, it looks like, maybe. Oh, yeah. Well, it's not same table. No, it's fine. Oh, I put this a little short. Grab it. Never talk about it. There you go. Sheesh. That side looks good. My side. It's because it's so stumpy looking up there.
Yeah, right.
It has to just do the transition onto this thing. Because I saw it on back there. Next part. Once everybody's up there. Again, like if you're gonna do this as a spring, like as a spring stone, you can forget about all the stuff on the back there and just put straight dubbing or straight D-rib right to the hook and keep it, stack it right on top of itself, right? And you have a real thin body on it. But in wintertime, you gotta kind of be tricky. Give them some meal. What's next? Scud back. Scud back now. Uh-oh, there it is. Uh-oh. Next, we're gonna put in our scud back. That's gonna be right on top. And the closer you can get it to being directly on top, the better it's gonna turn over. I don't know if you guys ever used this stuff before, but it is not friendly to the tire. Yeah, it's really not. So you want it to be as close to on top.
Top behind the eyes, right?
Yep, you can kind of pull it down and you can see that it should fall right in between it. If not, good luck. Next comes your feather. Again, I'm going to tip tie mine because it's easier and less prepping. Oh. Don't do it. Okay. Oh, that's all good. It's smooth right there. The next part. Everybody got a feather in? Oh, cheater. Oh, cheater. How'd it come out, Paul? Would you fish it?
Can't, the hook's broke.
You broke your hook?
No, the tip was broke. Doesn't have a point.
Ooh. How'd you do that?
Came out of the bank.
No. I sell this stuff. It's- Oh, yeah, that's right. That was the, check, does your bag have the one that says Paul on it?
That's okay, I'll give it to Frank next time.
Yeah, this will fish. All right, This part, depending on the bag you got, we might need to come around and give you a few more of these. You want 5 or 6, 4, 5 or 6. The more you have, the less wraps you will have to make. So let me know if you need more. Peacock Girl. You can grab them, line up the back ends, scoot your hand up and pull out the short ones. And then you can kind of edge up your tips. And break them off. And we'll tie these in right on top. It'll all clean up here. We'll go ahead and palmer those. Like wood chenille. So you're essentially making chenille out of 5 or 6 strands. And get it right off the bat. Didn't think twice about it. Everybody got enough of them? Almost the last 2 steps. Just putting on your palmering your front chenille. I've cut a lot of steel out on this one. It is absolutely a go-to for me.
Yeah, it's still wet, isn't that crazy?
Yeah. I'll be really nippy in a second. As long as it doesn't spring out on me as soon as I do that. And then the last part, my favorite part, is running that. Running that little bit of scud back. Wasn't very straight. Off to the side there. Just roll. Just fall. Oh, I did it again. Yeah.
Good time to have them fall out.
Yeah. Probably something.
Yeah, right. Did you mind again?
I somehow got the new front. Tie that off. Cut. Bail. The front end perfect.
Yeah.
Such a good.
Look at. It is different.
They're just different.
Yeah.